Welcome back. This is West Coast Paul. You are listening to Stylin' Radio. This is the Pure Adrenaline Show brought to you by NOS Energy Drink. It's the favorite drink around here at Stylin'. And, I had to go get one. I'm sipping on one here between the breaks. I see Izzy's got one. And so with that, what up, Izzy?
Yep. Always got one. Even the original NOS flavor I like,
Yeah, so. There's I haven't had one yet that I didn't. I mean, I think they're all pretty awesome, and they do their job. They're tasty, and they get the blood pumping. So for adrenaline, pure adrenaline, NOS, and you got it. And speaking too of pure adrenaline, we mentioned before, but X Games, the Winter X Games are on right now. They're in Aspen. They've had a lot of events being finalized. And I'm going, you said you were snowboarding last weekend, and that reminded me of this. And I'm going, you've done some X Games stuff in the past.
Yeah.
What is an X Games experience like, Izzy?
Well, when you're competing, it's, I went to the first couple of X Games, way back in the day. So, you got to have your shit together, you got to qualify for the X Games, which back then we went to a B3 comp, which was bikes, boards, and blades, put on by Matt Hoffman. And there's different qualifiers. There's different qualifiers in different countries. But when you get there, it is the Super Bowl, the mecca of your sport. And I went for aggressive inline skating and flatland freestyle. I placed decent. I did get in the top 10, but the first year I did the first X Games, and really, to be honest, it was a shit show. It was badass, but it was a shit show. Nobody had, the athletes were arguing with the damn camera people because they were in the way, but it was great. It was a great time, it was just what they learned at that first one, the second, third, fourth was way different, and it is, you show up, your bike hopefully makes it through the flight in your flight bag, and then you got to put it together, and then you got to practice. And it's similar to drag racing, you get some practice time, but, what did it in for me with the X Games is when aggressive inline skating, they were more interested in those guys being camera guys and following the skateboarders and BMX guys around. And then there was the whole, I was part of the whole fuck you to X Games, and we did a real street comp put on by John Julio and Friction Clothing, yeah. And we just bombarded the streets, you know what I'm saying? And when I mean bombarded, I'm talking, almost 30 to 40,000 kids just take over the whole town with skating everything. And, and that was kind of bad for X Games because that put a bad taste in the city's mouth, you know what I'm saying, with all these kids, so.
Yeah. Where did you, in those X Games, where were they at? The first one that you went to, do you remember?
Los Angeles.
They were the LA down here? Okay.
Yeah.
In down in there. Because they've had so many different, was that, and that was just X Games. I mean, now they've got, winter and summer and so many events and unlike the Olympics where they're doing medals, and the X Games guys, they're doing it for prize money.
Well, they're doing it for prize money and the medals, you know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. And Lori is saying that you're the badass, whatever. What events did you do in those years?
Aggressive inline skating, flatland, freestyle BMX, park freestyle BMX, and I did 1 year, well, technically 2. 2 years of Winter X, snowboarding. When I say 1 year for sure, I placed 1 year. The second year, I was all gun-ho. Everything was great. In a practice session, I ended up breaking my hand.
Oh, shit.
And they've got some rules with the X Games, and, the doctor looked at it. They knew it was broke. I was just at the point of the threshold where the insurance wouldn't cover it. And
Okay.
and so I got eliminated. And what's crazy is I was in the top 5 of qualifying that year.
Show.
And so,
Okay.
when and it was totally my fault. It go big or go home, I mean, and I tried something that I'd only landed a few times, and this time I didn't land it. I just didn't have enough speed, and yeah, that plays in the back of my mind quite a bit over the years, but in the same sense, it's a great experience, it's a great opportunity, and these kids now, I mean, it's like, holy shit, like BMX freestyle, the stuff they're doing on these bikes is unreal, but just skateboarding has really stepped up, especially a lot of the big air stuff that these guys are doing over the box jump. It's just unreal. So it's like, when I was riding, we didn't have woodwork and all that. Woodwork had just started, and that is a training facility with resi ramps and foam pits and, and then especially, what kind of made me go more underground with aggressive inline skating is these kids would go to woodwork and we would show, I remember South Padre Island, okay? And we were there for an X Games qualifier, and there was 4 kids that had went to that camp. And when I say kids, I'm in my 20s now. I'm in college, right? These kids were like 16 to 18 in that age group. And the shit that they were doing, these flips and stuff off these ramps, and it's like, how in the hell can you compete with that? So at the time, it was a little bit different because there was Hoax Video, there was Video Groove, and a lot of skaters was more into, I'll do the badass trick on video because more people are going to see it. If I do it at the X Games, I'm only going to be known to doing it at that particular X Games. So it was a weird time. It was a fun time, but a weird time for aggressive sports. You know what I'm saying? So another thing I had to look at, I owned a business, and it hit me at a age group, especially when I broke my wrist. And it ain't the first time I've ever broke a bone, my thing's like, fucking put a cast on it, let's go. Well, now you got insurance deals, are you a liability? And once that really kind of kicked in, and then the next year at the X Games, when everybody said, screw this, and we're going to take over the streets, you got to get in where you fit in. And I don't regret anything I did. Nothing. But yeah, the Winter X Games was on over the weekend, and I'm more amazed by these girls and the shit that they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, because now, there used to be a huge separation with the guys and girls, but now they're keeping up almost as well as the guys, and they're all just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. That's what's great about games like this, and yeah, the stuff that happened this weekend, you saw some guys, newbies come in and do well, and other ones, guys have been around a while, come in and they dominated again. And I'm like, I don't know about favorite events. I mean, God, they have so many now when they run, a super pipe for men and women, and you got street style and snowboard slope style. And
yeah.
You got snowboard knuckle huck, the things that they run, and, big air and snowboard and super pipe. I mean, and these things are hard. The X Games isn't for the faint of heart. These things are some of the most difficult sporting type things you can do.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, there was a trick that was pulled at Winter X Games, and it was in the middle of a competition. It wasn't like, the pro freestyle best trick contest. This guy did a triple flip, but after he flipped the first one, the board touched the ground, tapped the back, tapped the front, and then he pulled out 2 flips off of that down the slope. I mean, and that elevated him to second place immediately. And it's like, the one big thing is, like, and people's ask me, just like you did, what's it like competing? you get 3 runs, guys. I would know the first 3 to 4 tricks and my last 4 to 3 tricks at the end. Back then, and I'm sure you can still do it, you get to choose your music and it has to be approved, just like figure skating or something like that. Yep. So I know at a certain point in a song, after I do my first 3 to 4 tricks, then it's whatever's in my way. I got to do something. But there's a certain part in that song that I know I only have so many seconds left. Because I don't even... See, when they're calling the announcing, you don't hear. That's the reason why there's those 2 buzzers. You hear the buzzer, but your mind's going. Plus, a lot of times, people will ride or skate with headphones on. You know what I'm saying? To drown out the background noise. But I knew at a certain part of my routine song that I only had 4 tricks left. And I had to be at a certain part of the course. So there's a lot of mental stuff that goes into it. It's not like, oh man, I watch Dave Mirra go out there and bust a double backflip and this, and this, and this, and this. Well, those tricks are set up in certain categories of that rider. So if you ever really watch this, they know what they're doing, but then in the middle of the run, they don't know what they're doing. They're picking and choosing of what they can do, and then they have... It's the same way with Winter X, That guy went out there, and he knew that second jump was going to be... He's got to do something major. So then he hit some other shit on the slope, and then he had the last 2 tricks. And so, unless you're in the know, and that's the big thing is, a lot of people... They see it, but they're not in the know to know what's going on, unless you're a rider. And the thing is, I started off on freestyle BMX bikes. I got into aggressive inline skating. I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. And it was a dare from a friend of mine that said, well, if you think it's so stupid, why don't you try it? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And this stuff's hard, like I say, year to year, a simple mistake or things that you do will cost you, the events. It's hard to do things that difficult.
Well, look at freestyle motocross. I mean, a simple mistake can cost a life.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah.
It's why I was this year looking through various results. And I was going in 2024, one I like. It's the women's ski knuckle huck. There was a gal. Her name was Rel Harwood. She got the silver medal in 2024, and she had a great year. That was her rookie year for X Games, and then she came back this year and won it. And that is so hard to do, to even medal back-to-back years, because you have to be, I don't want to say perfect, but what you have to do to, with new competition and new people coming in. And that was one kudos to her to, silver her first year and then take gold in an event the next year, because she's the only one in that event that has medaled back-to-back years.
Yeah, so, and the big thing is, if you get silver the first year, that's great. But as a rider, that dwells on you the whole year. What could I have done to get first? What can I have done? What new stuff do I got to come up with, and there's a level of writing for the fun, and there's a level of the pure, like, I'm going to fucking win this. And it's happened in all sports. I mean, it's the same way with drag racing, or, hell, car shows, Oh, I went out and went to Texas Heat Wave and I got second place. But who got first place and what did they have that beat me? So it's all driven. It's all adrenaline driven. It's all want to be the best of the best. And my thing is, a couple years ago, I got into mountain bike riding, right? And I'm like, man, I'll never be one of those spandex people, wearing the spandex and on the fucking highway and damn near getting hit. Well, I'm still not. But there's a mountain bike race in my town that is a big deal called the Heartbreaker. And of course I entered beginner because I technically am a beginner. I may have all this other athletic experience, but my thing is, it's not that I just wanted to win my class. I wanted to know what my time was compared to the pros. And after that race was done and the results were posted up, the times were posted up, I was in the top 5% of the pros. That's all I wanted to know.
Up there.
You know?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But then again, I had home court advantage because that is my backyard. I ride there all the time. So here's the next thing is I wanted to go, and I talked to the people putting on the events. I want to go to a place I've never rode. Well, I say this saying a lot, fuck around and find out. Well, I fuck around and found out, and I wasn't last, but I was in the top 3% of being last.
Oh, shit.
So that right there shows you a difference between knowing the course and not knowing a course.
Yeah, familiarity.
I mean, hell, I look like Crew Jones from the movie Rad, crashing and shit out there, and like.
Yeah, you would think that it's not that way. It's like, they're one that has nothing to do with X Games but golf. I'm like, dude, they show up at a different course, and it's like guys who played there their whole career. They know everything and they kick ass. And you would think that, a snow slope or a BMX track or anything, there you've been on one, you've been on them all. But like you say, if you haven't been on one, you just don't know all the little details that are going to help you win.
Well, and it's just like you were talking about golf, right? Well, how do we make golf extreme? Well, they come out with Frisbee golf, and Frisbee golf has been around for a while, but now it's a big deal. Now, they're making custom, stuff, and it's just, the Frisbees are all custom and weighted, and now there's places popping up everywhere. So that's like the next big thing. I mean, me and my friends, we go out and play golf, we get drunk, I mean, I'm more of a putt-putt golf guy, so.
Yeah, they don't want me on a golf course because when I'm done, they got to fix too much shit. So.
Well, my grandfather retired, and I said, so you're going to take up a sport? And he goes, what do you mean, like golf? He goes, there's nothing desire about me in an open pasture hitting a ball and chasing it. And I was like, I agree with you. I get it.
Yeah, because a lot of times you're not in the open pasture chasing it. You're in the sticks or the weeds or in the trees or trying to see if it's near a creek and or in the beach. And there's nothing fun about golf if you suck at it.
And with Slick Chick has got golf tournaments, and we'd have these pros come in and play. And I'm telling you, these son of bitches, they know their shit. Because I watched this one guy, I'm like, why would he hit it that way? Well, because he calculated the wind and this, and this, and it would get right there on the green. And he damn near got a hole in one.
He did it that way simply because he's better than us.
Because he knows what the fuck he's doing. I mean, we don't.
Exactly.
So. But speaking of that, we're going to get right back into the music here on NOS Energy Drinks Pure Adrenaline.
Hour number 4 is done, and West Coast Paul out.